Happy Christmas is an independent film that came out in 2014 and is written and directed by Joe Swanberg, as well as starring one of the stars anyway, Joe Swanberg, this dude right over here. And this also has Anna Kendrick in it, as well as Melanie Linsky, who I don't really recognize from any other films, but she's one of the leads in this film, and according to reviews and stuff like that, is a very popular actress amongst the rest. But Anna Kendrick and Joe Swanberg are the two, and Mark Webber as well. I've seen him pop up before. But Anna Kendrick and Joe Swanberg are the two that I know the most. And this, like I said, it's very independent. It's quite low budget, and Joe Swanberg has this charm to his films. I recently reviewed a film called White Reindeer with him in it. He didn't direct that film, but he starred in it, or he's one of the stars in it. But he has this charm to the films he directs, and makes them very humane and very relatable, and just very realistic feeling in their sense of like independent style sort of thing. If you know independent cinema, and if you watch a lot of independent cinema, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Anna Kendrick also kills it with her performance in this. Again, very down to earth and very realistic performance, and she really nails it with the type of character that she's playing in this. And she's good all around, like in anything she does, but she really dives into the character in this one a lot. I remember I only watched, well, maybe I watched it like twice, but I haven't watched this film in ages, and I really wanted to revisit it, especially for the holiday season. Now, I remember this film being a bit more Christmassy than my experience and my viewing this time. I also remember it being, how should I say, a little bit more in depth with its plot. This viewing this time seemed to fly by quite a bit, and the ending seemed a lot more abrupt than the ending that I remember. And that happens, every once in a while with cinema when you revisit films. Sometimes the memory is just very different than what you see in that current viewing, but that's kind of what goes for the beauty of cinema as well. But basically, plot-wise, we have Anna Kendrick playing this girl named Jenny, and she recently breaks up with her boyfriend. She moves back to Chicago, and she moves into her brother's house, at her brother and his wife's house, played by Joe Swanberg and Melanie Linsky. And they've been together a while. They recently just had a child, and they're raising this really young child. And they're living the, parent life kind of thing. Joe Swanberg's character, Jeff, works full-time, and Kelly is a stay-at-home mom. She's also an author, but she mostly takes care of the kid, and is really, really busy with that, and has been since he was born kind of thing, where she doesn't necessarily have too much time to write. However, she is the author of one novel, and she was really successful in that one novel. But Jenny moves back, and she's like a carefree, wild child, kind of rebellious, but lost in life kind of girl. And she's a hard partier. She likes to, be irresponsible, go out. She doesn't have any ties to anything. She doesn't have any kids. She just got out of relationships, so you can tell she's kind of having some how do you say it? She's getting over that relationship in her own way kind of thing, by partying and wanting to meet guys and stuff like that. And they clash in a sense, like she clashes with her brother and his wife kind of thing, in the sense that they have completely different lives. But her coming in and moving in at the same time, especially with the wife, the woman, Kelly, they bond in a certain way that kind of livens Kelly up, and brings her kind of out of her shell a little bit. And as the film progresses, you start to see this bond between Kelly and Jenny, that, I don't know if it's they need each other, but whereas Kelly was a little bit more resistant to Jenny at the beginning when she moved in, because she's irresponsible, and Kelly had trust issues with Jenny, like how is she going to be around the child? Like she became very mom mode. But as the film progresses, she starts to lighten up to Jenny, where Joe Swanberg playing Jeff kind of takes a little bit more of the worried role kind of thing. So basically at the beginning of the film, as soon as she moves in, pretty much, she's already going to this party with one of her friends. I forget her friend's name, but it's it's a friend of Jenny's that she's, I assume, known for her life, because she meets up with her the same night she moves back, and then they go to a party, and immediately Jenny is drinking heavy, and Jenny starts making out with this random dude in the washroom, and then her friend loses her, and then throughout the night she passes out in some random bedroom, and Jenny's friend has to call Jeff at home, who's asleep at this time, and Jeff is very overworked himself, played by Joe Swanberg. He at the beginning of the film, you can tell that he's behind on a lot of things at work, and he's trying to balance the whole, his life with work and the kid and everything. So him getting woken up in the middle of the night is not something he appreciates a whole lot. And he goes to pick her up, and she won't move. And fuck, like she. Trust me, when you're in those states, anything feels comfortable and you don't want to move. Like the bed is the most comfortable thing in the world, and even like the hardwood floor is the most comfortable thing in the world. But Joe Swanberg, Jeff, shows up, and he has to like carry her out and everything, carry her home. And this is where Kelly starts to get worried, because she's wondering if Jen is basically going to do this every night kind of thing. And then there's scenes that a lot of this movie that actually I had forgotten a lot about. Is just conversations with Jenny, Anna Kendrick's character, and then the wife Kelly and Jenny's friend. And a lot of the scenes are just the three of them talking together, because Jenny, for whatever reason, comes up with this idea that Kelly should make some money by writing a quick erotica novel. And she's like, yeah, you can write an erotica novel in a day because you're so intelligent and smart, and your first novel did so well, and you're such a good writer, that you should just write something sexy and then make a bunch of money so that you can kind of coast for a bit while you write the project that you actually want to write. And it was funny because Jenny, when she talks, she doesn't explain it like that. She uses a lot of likes, and she's like you're so like smart and stuff like that, and like so, you're so like intelligent, like I'm stupid and you're smart, and she goes on and on like on these rants kind of thing, that you're just looking at this girl. And Anna Kendrick, sorry, portrays it so well. This like, I don't know, she in the movie she's 27, but she acts like very early 20s party girl, and she does it well. So, and this is where Kelly starts to come out of her shell kind of thing. She portrays, especially before she comes out of her shell, this really like boring woman that it almost seems like a byproduct of what happens when people get married and have kids. And I know it's not always the case, and it's not always like that, but a lot of people fall into that. And like, I don't want to say Kelly's unlikable, because she's not necessarily unlikable, but I'm glad that like Jenny was able to show her a different perspective in life. And when they start to actually write this novel, because a lot of the movie, like I said, is about them, well, Jenny giving the ideas and then Kelly writing this erotic novel. And it just, Kelly develops as a character, and I really liked that about her too, because at the beginning of the film, she was just so annoying, for lack of a better word. But she started to open up later on, and become better as a character. I like one quote that, not a quote, but during the conversation with Anna Kendrick, Jenny, she's like, you could totally be like that, like a band who like releases a record, and then like their second album is just like, whoa, and you could be like totally Arcade Fire, and it goes with their character again. There's this other guy too, played by Mark Webber, and I do like Mark Webber. I watched a film that he directed called The End of Love, a very good film. And he's also popped up in like Scott Pilgrim and other films before. But he plays this guy who I'm assuming is Jeff's friend, because he's introduced into the film where he's babysitting the child. The baby's name is Jude. And this guy is babysitting Jude at the beginning, and then Anna Kendrick meets him because he's in the house, and then Anna Kendrick ends up getting his number, and then Mark Webber's character, Kevin is his name, starts to show her around the town, and she was looking for a place, so they kind of start bonding in a sense. And she buys weed from him after a certain point and goes to meet him at his house, and then they obviously, a love interest sparks kind of thing. And because again, Anna Kendrick, her immaturity is just so forward and present, like all the time. Like when she goes to buy the weed in the first place, and she doesn't know, like she's awkward with the whole situation. She says she doesn't buy like weed very often, but then she suggests that they smoke it together, and the guy puts on music, and then she takes like one puff, and in 5 seconds she's like, "I'm so fucked up right now," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, sure you are." I'm not a weed smoker or anything like that, so I don't know. I don't know the culture too well, how fast or slow, how strong or weak certain strains are or anything like that, because I've never really been a weed guy in my life. But I don't think it hits you that fast, and I think usually people exaggerate when they're like, "I'm so fucked up right now" after like one toke. I would assume, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure. And then they start to hook up, but she kind of chickens out in the middle of it, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I gotta leave." And then she starts acting awkward for like 2 minutes. She's like, "You're a really cool guy, but I don't know what I'm gonna do," kind of thing, and like making the rejection or trying to make the rejection kind of tame. And he's like, "No, it's cool, it's all right. Like I get it. Like it's no big deal." But she's just making the situation like, "I'm so sorry. Like you're so cool. It's nothing to do with you." Blah blah blah, and it's their relationship is funny throughout, because there's other scenes where again they're getting intimate again, and she's so, I guess, immature is the best way to put it, because she's like trying to get him to like pull her hair but then be gentle at the same time, and like she's giving him instructions, and it's just so weird, and it's like uncomfortable to watch kind of thing, the shit that she'll say. That's what kind of makes it funny too. And then closer to the climax, they're at a bar together, and this is where he rejects her because I think he had to go home for Christmas or something. But she wants to go home with him. She's drunk again, and she's like, "I want to fuck you," all this shit, and he's like, "No, I'm just gonna go home and crash because I have somewhere to be like the next day." And she freaks out, and she gets like highly offended by this, which A, she rejected him already once, so kind of being a hypocrite there. And B, they've already had sex, so it's not like this is the first time that he's, saying no to the whole thing. They're in an intimate sexual relationship already, so him not wanting it to do it that night, I don't know why it got her like all derailed kind of thing. But one thing I've discovered in my life is that girls being rejected and guys being rejected apparently are two wildly different things. And like the way Anna Kendrick's head, or Jenny, I should say, his head just blows off when the guy's like, "No, I'm okay. I don't want to do it tonight." It's just like, and she's like, "You're an idiot." Like it's actually like unbelievable. It's like it's okay to be rejected as a chick, okay? Like, but my good God, do they ever take it personally compared to a guy who, like, in general, I would think gets rejected way more than women do. But yeah, reject a woman once, holy shit, may the devil come right out of hell and wreak havoc. And then I've heard the argument from usually women, "Oh yeah, that is true. Like guys get rejected all the time. So when a girl actually comes around and actually does want to have sex with you, the guy should be like, all over it and being like, 'Yes, here's my chance.'" I'm like, yeah, no, not really, because a guy's not gonna want to have sex all the time, just like a girl's not gonna want to have sex all the time. "Oh well, he must be gay." No, no, I think that's probably the least reason. Okay, shit just happens sometimes. I'm pretty sure there's many other reasons that a dude is not gonna want to sleep with a chick at a particular moment, besides him being gay. Usually, it's gonna be like she's too drunk, or it doesn't feel right for a certain reason, kind of thing. Usually. But yeah, that scene, I was just rolling my eyes because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Jenny. Oh my goodness gracious, you need to calm down." But then she goes home and she starts to drink more, and then she puts in a pizza in the oven and then forgets about it and then falls asleep, and it burns to a crisp and there's smoke all over the house. And then her brother Jeff and his wife Kelly freak out on this situation, and Jenny gets all embarrassed the next day, and she's in this drunk stupor, and her brother's yelling at her because there's a baby in the house and there was smoke everywhere, and he's like a legitimate situation kind of thing. And one thing I found about like this viewing compared to my last viewing, because my last viewing is so many years ago, I certainly experienced this film a little bit differently. I still related to all the characters in this film. I got Jeff's perspective, I got Jenny's perspective, I got Kelly's perspective a little bit. But it's definitely a different experience this time around compared to the last time I watched it. So there is that. And again, the ending is just, I think, the biggest part of the film that I was a little bit disappointed in, because I remember it concluding a lot more effectively, and I remember there being like a bigger lesson to the film. This film really ended a little too abruptly this time, where I didn't really see any conclusion. Like, there was no lesson to be learned. Nothing really happened, and nobody really learned anything. The wife just comes in to Jeff's office, where he let Kelly work and write her book kind of thing as a Christmas present. And Jenny's been hiding there because she was too embarrassed to apologize or kind of have a confrontation. Not a confrontation, but she was too embarrassed to face Jeff and his wife after this whole pizza burning incident. So she goes to hide in the office, and then Kelly just goes to the office and says, "Hey, I figured you'd be hiding here. It's okay. Do you want to come home and unwrap presents?" And she's like, "Sure." And then roll credits, says the end. So yeah, I felt in my last viewing that the characters learned a bigger lesson. There was more of a conclusion, but this time around, I didn't really feel that. But it's still okay. I ended up giving this film a 2.5. It's just a little bit disappointing compared to how I remember this film being, but for an independent project, this is the same director of Drinking Buddies, and I found Drinking Buddies way more, just way denser of a film with story and plot and the way it's directed and the way it's paced. I just remember it being a wildly, I'd say, better film. Like, I enjoyed it more, and it came out a year before this one, so this one is this one he made after Drinking Buddies, essentially. But I'm not saying this film is bad by any means, but I remember it being a little bit better. It does merit some rewatch, though, and 'tis the season, like they say. So I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I picked it up again. 2.5 out of 5. It's not bad. And go check out that one, and go check out anything Joe Swanberg's made, because he knows how to bring charm to cinema, and he's a good actor too. So anything he's in or anything he's directed himself is generally pretty good. So subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.